Everyone, I forgot to put Derek's name here, which was actually a last minute. And Derek, really thank you again for accepting to do this talk with me. So thank you. But we're gonna hear from Brian, from Juan, and from DELVIS after we do all the intros and cover everything about resumes and personal branding. Then it's gonna be also Derek with us, and then we're gonna hear the personal experience of you three. So thank you. Okay. So just a quick talk about me. Like I say, everybody knows me already. My name is Zarela, and right now I'm a front-end engineer at Politech, but tomorrow is my last day actually, because starting Monday I'm gonna start working at Stitch as a software engineer, and I am also the organizer next to Derek of Southwest Florida College. Now, everything that I'm gonna share with you is not that I'm an expert or anything. I'm just sharing everything for what I've seen on these 4 years running this group and me applying to jobs. And also I'm part of 2 different boot camps. One that I did my programming boot camp, and I also did like a political and progressive studies. So I had 2 different cohorts of 2 different things, but both of them were eventually will land me into a job. And because of this, I actually had career coaches. I had people looking at my resume. I attended multiple workshops. So I'm really just sharing everything I know and everything that has worked for me, and everything they have shared with me. So I hope this information is helpful to you. And the one that just joined is actually my friend Brad. He's like a classmate from my bootcamp. He lives in California. So Brad, thank you for being here. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna talk first about resumes. So when it comes to resumes, there's really, like I said, there's not really any strict rules or anything, but this is always something that has been shared with me. Something that you want to always keep in mind is about the length. We always talk about the length of resumes. We always talk about the length of resumes, and most of people always advise to have it down to 1 page. And the reason for this is because you know, recruiters and hiring managers have like a lot of people to go through, a lot of resumes, and you want to have just important information there that is going to grab their attention. You have to remember they see too many resumes in 1 day, and you want to highlight just the most important things in there and the ones that are relevant. So anything that is not relevant to the job that you're applying, you most likely just want to have like a title and that's it, and don't worry about it. But I'll show you some examples. I pick my resume mostly because I have had a lot of feedback on this one. I got actually, I'm going to show you my before and after, but that one right here is my first resume that I've used for many years, and this one is my most recent one. But I also picked 2 other resumes of 2 people that I consider mentors, which one is Derek, and the other one is my coworker, Josh. He worked with me at Politech, and right now he's a rock star, just like Derek is. That's why they're my mentors. But I really like their resumes, and I think that's the reason why they have like so many people looking for them, and they just have a lot of conversations started because of how their resume looks. I show you Derek right here. So we're gonna point a few things of what's something that that is always recommended. Back in May 2020, last year, when the pandemic started hitting hard and a lot of people lose their jobs, we actually did a similar talk to this one. And for that, we had Andrew Green. We had he's hiring manager at Amazon, and he actually does workshops, and he was a speaker for us via Zoom. And he shared a lot of helpful information about resumes that I'd like to share with you. Something that he always mentioned is that when you start with your resume, you always want to have a little summary. Not an objective, but more like a summary. A summary is something that is going to be like a conversation started. So, and usually on your summary, you want to include things like what you do, who you are, what skills you have, and what you want. And the reason why he always recommended these 3 things is because they want want to know a little bit, like on a nutshell, who you are, right? What kind of things you like, your interests, those kind of things. What are you best on? So those would be like, you can highlight your highest skills and what you want, because that also shows that you have goals in your career, and that kind of, to a recruiter, it just tells that you have aspirations. And I think any hiring manager is going to want somebody that wants to grow. That just shows like something good about your personality. And I like Josh. See how he has like, hi, I'm Josh, and something like short and informal, but he on like something very small. He's just like, I'm a front-end engineer focusing on solving problems through brute force, how we call it, and excessive JavaScript. And he just made it fun, and just like the fact that he has his title and he's like, hey, I'm Josh. It's just, I don't know, it's like, I think it sounds simple and easy, and what he's telling us what he's expert on. Now, for me, I'm not going to read mine, but I just wanted to show you my titles that I put there. It's front-end engineer, community builder, because I run this meetup, and trekkie. That's something that I had actually got like a bunch of conversations with people that see my resume. They're always like start talking to me about Star Trek and everything. And really, like, this place is really something for you to like let people remind you. They get to see they get to interview so many people. And if you get to give them something that they will remember you for, that will make, I think, like, if you just make them stay in their head, they will remind you, and that will be on your favor. And this is actually a trick that we use a lot of marketing. I forgot to mention, but in my past life, I was a marketer. I did marketing for 10 years. So I've been applying some of these tricks without even knowing it to my career. But yeah, you just want to do something that is always going to stick up, just something that you like and something unique about you, something that maybe relates to another person. And like, I like doing, I don't know, I like to travel, I like to cook, or just really something that is different. Now, the second part, and this is really for everybody, that is always recommended to like all the multiple workshops that I've been, they always recommend that you lead with your technical skills, because they want to make sure that you have these skills for the jobs that you are applying. Because, if they don't see that, they don't even want to care about like reading anything. So you want to make sure that you highlight the skills that are going to be for the job that you're applying, and they want to see what kind of skills you have. Something that is big too, and you can see it here on Josh's resume, is he highlights projects. Now, these two projects that he has actually have like thousands of users. So start with whatever you are the most proud of, and you can see here that he's listing which skills to use for that. We're going to move to the next one here. You see on Derek's one too, he's also highlighting what his skills are, which are the most important ones. I also did the same thing here on mine. And like I mentioned, this orange one was my first resume, kind of like the same format, fresh out of bootcamp, where I did not have any previous experience. And a lot of people always talk like, it's very hard to land into your first job, especially when you don't have experience, right? So everybody always asks like, what do you do with that, right? And something that we were taught at the bootcamp for us was just imagine that here on where it says technical experience, this Politech part was not here. So the only thing that I actually had was all this right here, where it says web development immersive student. That was the only technical thing that I had that I could talk. And what I did is I exploded that. You tell what your project is, what technologies you're using, what your project is about, and that counts as a technical experience because you have built those apps, right? So if you are having a hard time trying to fill your resume with something relevant to the job, that would be a good thing to do. About experience too, you can see both on all these ones, they're all technical experience. They're relevant to the jobs that we're applying. You can see on this one right here, I actually like, you want to always focus with everything that is tech. And if you have something that is no longer technical, don't even mention it. Now, if you're trying to fill that gap because you don't have enough to put on your resume, maybe you can try to put those but second and try to make that differentiation of like technical experience versus your past life, because I feel like it's always important important to remember who you were in your past. Like I mentioned, I used to do marketing for a long time, but I try to see how you're gonna connect those dots. How am I gonna connect me doing marketing versus what is going to bring good to this new job? And even if it's something completely different, I like the example that Andrew was saying when he did this talk for us, like somebody that worked on carpentry for a long time and suddenly wants to become a developer, right? How do you fill that gap? And he mentioned about using the summary section to highlight that. It's like saying, I did this for this long and I'm very passionate about tech and I wanna be now a developer, right? And also on his experience, because he obviously didn't have any technical experience, he will put something like, try to connect that saying maybe like, when I was on carpentry, I did a lot of budgeting. I developed a few tools, even like using spreadsheets that had a lot of logic where I was trying to improve processes. Because really being a developer is about that, right? So just try to find something that will make that connection. Let's see what else. Something that is usually always is recommended as well is to have your education and certifications if you have towards the end, especially education. Something that I was told a lot is not to put the years unless you just graduated. But for a lot of other ones like me, that we might be older, sometimes having the years when you graduated doesn't really act on your paperwork, because I always heard this from friends that they say when you put that, they age you. they try to figure out how old you are. And for some reason that, it's so dumb, because I feel like that's age discrimination and that should not be. But unfortunately, sometimes it's like that. So just try not to have the years there. Just have what you what you went to school for, and just don't even mention the years. It's not really that important.
It's actually a fact in our industry that there's massive age and gender discrimination.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons if I walked into an interview and they couldn't wait to get me in there, I actually had a kid across from the table who was younger than my son. So who found that old on the phone? This day, I wish I had that problem.
Yeah, no, it's awful. And, it's not fair. I think it's like, it's going to take a lot to change that. But if you can just don't give them the trap to walk into that, it's better if you can avoid it. So I think that's a good advice that I got before. The other one is like, if you are doing some volunteering job, like I know you guys have run the tech, the tech meetup, you're running the engineering club. Or like if you were looking for a job in the same, I think having what you do for the community in that part, perfect. And I can tell you guys this for experience, getting involved in the community is probably what got me my job without any experience in the first place. So if you can do anything to get involved on that, just make sure you highlight it on your resume. So I think that's it about resumes. Oh wait, one last part before I forget. Just try to remember to always put your links on the top to everything, your phone number, your email, your website, links to your GitHub, to your LinkedIn. You don't need to put your address, that's not necessarily. Maybe you can just put your city, but nobody needs to see your address. Try to use your space very wisely. Try not to waste space on your resume because you really want to have the most important thing. Now, we talk about the length of one page. That's usually what is recommended, unless you have more than 10 years. And then you might have multiple pages. But we had a member that asked us, like, what if I have 20 years of experience and I have 7 pages? And it's like, oh, nobody's going to look at 7 pages. So if you have like 20 years of experience, whatever you did 20 years ago, it doesn't matter anymore, right? What matters is like the most recent 5 years. So maybe you want to highlight the newest, everything that is new, and maybe just to just name your job and what you did. You don't need to highlight what you did for the job.
Actually, keep it short, like you said, and leave the long list on LinkedIn.
Yes.
They really want to know, do you have your LinkedIn list up there? I'll get LinkedIn and really want to start scoping out, find a little more about it, especially the recruiters. They're going to look at that history of LinkedIn, because if you have something industry in your background, I
Yeah, that's very true. And they LinkedIn show it on a very nice showcase too. So yeah, let them use that space there. So yeah, thank you, Ron. That's perfect. So yeah, that's really everything about resumes. We're gonna talk about portfolios now, and I'm gonna give this one to Derek.
Hey everyone.
Derek, want me to stop sharing, or are you just gonna tell me when the next slide goes?
Oh, I'll share. It's probably easier. Share.
Hey, put a better place. They're taking you pictures right now.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
It's great. I'm gonna go off script a little bit real quick. I gotta share with you a very rage-inducing story. I did the one-page resume. It's what everyone's told me to do for years. And then I threw my hat in the ring for some side work, and they said my resume was too short. And there was not enough detail, and it drove me crazy. And so I just want to throw that out there. Or ZARELA said something along the lines of like, you know, this is just what we've in our travels and our, you know, trials and tribulations. So I mean, if you're always going to get something that's antithetical to what the common knowledge is, but you saw my resume, it was a one-pager. I'm going to just keep it that way. With all that said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about portfolios in GitHub. The disclaimers, just like ZARELA, is this is what has worked for me. This is what's looked cool to me. And let's get started. So it used to be probably the same still. I don't know what the default is, but hold on a second. Let me turn down my shoot. Hold on. I'm getting like feedback, and it's really distracting.
Oh, for you.
For me. So I'm going to turn mine down, and I'm going to talk. I'm not going to be able to pick up on any kind of cues or anything. So bear. Okay. So for a long time, the default, and it probably still is this way, for contributions to repositories in GitHub was private. I mean, public. So if you made a contribution to a repository that everyone could see, then that meant it would show up in this like activity graph thing that you see here. This is at the bottom of your home page. A few years ago, they gave you the option to turn on activity for private contributions as well. This didn't mean that people would see the code that you were contributing, because a lot of times that's sensitive or intellectual property. It just showed that you were doing something, right? And so I encourage you to, if you don't have this set, especially if you're new to the industry, to maybe turn this on so people can see that you're doing stuff, that you're pushing code out, right? Cool. The next thing is there's this cool thing called pinned repositories. And what this means is, like, when people go to your page, like your home page on your GitHub, so it'll be like github.com/some sort of username, mine's like digital DRK. Then they'll see these popular repository screen that you see here with my beautiful face. And so maybe think about some nice repositories that showcase code that you're proud of, that's relevant to the jobs that you're looking for, if you are looking for jobs. Yeah. And I seem to have another screen about pinned repositories here, and you can see without all the noise that was on the previous screen, it looks good. Cool. Let's see. I think I've okay. So I don't want to be one of those people that just reads everything on a slide to you. But I'll just kind of go over some of these. You know, what I do a lot when I make commits to a project is I will like squash my commits, and I use pull requests. And so what that means is I usually don't take much care into what kind of messages I put in my commits, because they all get squashed into one commit, and then I make that nice. And so all that to say is, if you're just committing right into a repository, right into the master branch, to try to name your commit messages in a coherent way, because my favorite ones like add updates, add stuff, add updates, and then, but those usually get squashed, like I said. And then feel free to direct message me that makes no sense because I could see where that doesn't. And so nice README on your public projects. This is stuff like how to get the project running, some gotchas. Maybe there's environment variables or something like that are set, and they're not sensitive, then maybe you might want to consider putting those into the README. If you're working in a specific industry, think about adding projects to show you have knowledge in that. Okay, so like maybe you want to work for like, there's a company in the area called Chico's, right? Maybe they have like a crazy e-commerce system. So perhaps you have made contributions to an open source e-commerce platform, something like that. That would be a really nice thing to show on your pinned repositories, because you'll have to fork that repository. And then there's a lot of times, I don't want to go off and rant, but I see a lot of resumes or a lot of people post their profiles, and it's like they have these like crazy long lists of programming languages they have experience with and frameworks they have experience with. And I don't know about you out in the crowd, but the more I learn about a language and a framework, the more I find out I don't know. And so, when you're playing around, and I totally think it's a great thing to experiment with other languages and frameworks, maybe kind of denoise your GitHub with a lot of these quote hello world type applications or code snippets. And then finally, if you make a contribution to a public repository, like an open source one, it just seems like it's just gold to me. I had the fortune to work for the federal government, and I worked on the va.gov website, and I made that was my job, and it's open source. And so I think that was just such a great thing to do civically, but also professionally, because then I could, show that I know my stuff there. So now we'll talk about portfolios and blogs. I now just have this Medium site. As you can see, it was updated last in 2018, been very busy. But it's treated me very well. Hold on, my family just got home. Sorry, hold on. So I still get a lot of reads on a couple things, on a couple articles I've read. If you find yourself struggling through something, then likely other people have struggled through that or will struggle through that. And it's really good to document what you went through and then what you did to fix it, and then post on here. And Medium's really great because it seems to come up a lot in search results, 1, and 2, it's free and it looks nice and works well. So no complaints from Medium, although a lot of people have gone away from it, in the past couple of years. But the portfolio to complement your resume. This site isn't up anymore. So, but I thought it would be fun to post certain things that were like a little unorthodox. So I took a personality test and I came back with logistician, and I posted that and a link to my personality. And then some people really like geeking out on like desk rigs. So I posted that. Gotten a lot of traction on that, kind of like what Zarela was talking about with the Trekkie stuff. And then I found a cool way to hook up to the Spotify API. And then this was a section on my website that just showed like the latest songs I was listening to. And then you could link to it would link to them. You could click on them and listen to a preview. It was pretty fun. And then just the apps and tools that I used throughout the day. Sort of like, again, like the Trekkie thing that Zarela was talking about. People kind of geek out on that. Let's see. Make sure you link to your project and repo, link to all your social media, professional images. Am I still going, or we're back to you, Zarela?
Thank you. That was your slide. I just had it in my picture.
I can't hear you. You're laughing now. That's good. Are you muted?
Hear me now? No? Uh-oh.
Let's see what we got going on here. I think I'll just wrap on this real quick and then we'll call it. And then I know I don't do the social stuff. Oh no, I don't want to share. Okay, so portfolio UX, just have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Professional images, make sure all the links work. make sure you have a link to your project and repositories and stuff, and then have a cool domain. That website I just showed you with like the Spotify setup, it was cool. It was like derekdyer.dev. I just got like derekdyer.website recently. So I don't know. I just play around with that stuff. I'm not really big on the SEO juice. And that's all I got. I saw some stuff in the chat. Let me see what's going on here. Did the feedback? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So we had a feedback problem and it looks like it was solved. And I can stop sharing, and let's see, where are we at? Do I need to just keep going, Zarela? Because I can't hear you.
No, I can go. Can you hear me though?
I see you talking, but I can't hear you. Can you Slack me or something?
Oh.
Oh wait, I have my audio turned down. That's why. So silly.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can totally hear you. That's embarrassing. Sorry about that. I turned it down because of the feedback. And right, I'm done. I'm muting. I'm turning off my camera too.
Let's go back to my presentation. Okay, we went through that. We were talking about that. And I just put mine. That was actually Derek's slide, but I just wanted to put mine because he actually pointed those things about like having links to your project and your repo. And I actually think that's very important because a lot of times people don't, depending who is reviewing your code, they want to see what you can do, but they also want to review your code. So I think like having the links to both of them is important, and you guys can see it like right here. This one right here, the screenshot, the GitHub activity. I think like if you have a lot of GitHub activity, I think you should definitely have it because it's a nice way of bragging about that you've been busy coding. That's really just like a little script. So if you want it, let me know and I'm happy to share that with you. Something also that I haven't updated actually this portfolio since 2016. But something that I realized that I wanted to do because somebody pointed out before is like, oh, you haven't touched this in a long time, is because at the bottom of the portfolio it says like what year that was made. So I actually added just like a little script that will automatically update, a time done now, just so like they think that you're actually paying attention. Because I feel like getting someone that is I don't know, it might look bad. People might don't care, but if it really costs you one line of code, why not, right? Okay, now we're going to talk about social branding. Like I say, I did a lot of marketing for a long time, and you guys will see that I belong to almost everything except the new things. There's too many for me to keep track. But I think like something that definitely is going to be good for you is LinkedIn. Definitely, that's your professional profile, so you should definitely keep that one pretty, and we're going to talk a little bit about that one. Slack, believe it or not, is I don't call it too much a social branding, but I feel like it's a way of doing networking. You can belong to different groups, and I forgot to put Discord here, but that's also another way full of like connecting to different communities that you want to belong. I put Slack in there because I belong to Women in Tech. And that's actually the one that has given me the new job that I'm going to have. And I'll show you guys a little bit about that. But I know Discord has also like different communities. A lot of people are now very passionate about blockchain with all these NFTs and cryptocurrency talking. And like if you want to learn about like doing development on blockchain, a lot of people have like channels on Discord, so you should definitely join those. Most of those places, I think like both on Discord and Slack have like job boards like we do on our South Florida Career Slack. We have a place where we share jobs, and a bunch of those we do. Twitter, I think like a few of those here in the room have actually used that very successful, and it's very nice to see that. We get to hear that from a few of them. Meetup, go and engage with people. I think like this group is cool because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm like, I know like when I say I'm a little antisocial, people look weird at me because they're like, no, you're not, because you're here, you're so cute. But I am actually, I don't have a lot of friends. And for me, I feel like the older I get, the hardest it gets to like want to meet people. And I feel like I just want to meet the people that have the same interest as me, and Meetup is perfect for that. You know, it's like already did the filter to like a bunch of people, and it funneled down to the same kind of people that you are. So it's much easier to make friends, and I feel like that's why I've been able to get very good friends from this group. So it's and not just like to make friends, but to learn. You know, I have people from here that I admire a lot, that I consider mentors, and that's really because of this group and because of Meetup. This new one right here, I forgot what it's called. Derek, what is this one called? I had a link for it. Politech, yeah. I just actually discovered this one not too long ago. I attended the GitHub conference online, and I discovered like a lot of the speakers were using this, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And it just looks so cool, and I'm like looking through the pages, and I was like, wow. It's just like, it's like a lot of pages, but it's so pretty that it really got me engaged in like reading everything because it's so well done. I actually wanted to show you guys a resume. We were looking at Joshua resume, my friend, and he has like a very short portfolio that he says he doesn't really call that a portfolio, but it has links to, he has a link to right here to his body work and right here. So it has this, it has showcase of like, but I feel like it's a very nice display. And if you don't have the time to build a website, a link to something like this that it has like a very nice display to your project, I think it's perfect. I discovered this one through this girl right here, Cassidy Williams. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but she is on the next page. No, I lost it. It's okay. Oh, here it is. This girl, I follow her because she's super funny. She was actually a keynote speaker at the GitHub Universe conference, and she also had this. And like I say, a lot of them had that. And like if you have like podcasts, you know, projects, articles that you wrote, I think it's like a very, very cool timeline to do one of these ones if you already have the time to put a portfolio together. Derek said he used it, he didn't like it too much, but I just found it and I thought it was cool to share it. Okay, so let's go back here. Go back to the person. Okay. Oh, yeah, so we're gonna talk about the ones that are the most important, and we talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn has something that is called All Star, that it has like different levels that if you hit like having so many contacts, so many recommendations, so many skills or something, it places your profile as an All Star. And usually when that happens, you get a lot more visibility. So that's something that you might want to keep track, and I'll show you mine actually. You want to have your most updated information, because really sometimes even like before looking at your resume, they're looking at your LinkedIn. You can apply to jobs directly through LinkedIn. And for me, when I was starting to look for jobs 4 years ago, most of my interviews actually came for jobs that I applied on LinkedIn. Most of them came from there. And I think it's because it just made it easy for them, right? It's just so easy for them to like just go there and see who you are, like Ron was mentioning. You can put all your experience there and highlight everything, and there you are. All they have to do is send you a private message to reach out to you, right? And you didn't even apply. I mean, I'm sure some of you might get recruiters sending you messages. And the reason actually why I wanted to do this talk is because I was talking to you guys earlier, is that right now there's so many jobs. It's just crazy. And I've been applying to jobs for the last year. I didn't try too hard the first half of the year, but the second half I did. I actually ended up having 3 offers. A lot of those I actually moved to the final round, but some of them actually came from them just reaching out through LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, who you are? And not even recruiters working for another company, but actually internal recruiters of big companies, which was pretty cool. And I'm like, okay, something must be good with my profile, I guess. But I've noticed that there's so many more jobs, because before maybe I was getting like 1 or 2 recruiters reaching out via LinkedIn. And on the last month, I think, there were days that I would have like 3 people reaching out per day. And I was like, I don't think I'm that great. I think they're just desperate. I think they're just desperate for talent. And then I actually started researching a little bit, and there's a big demand right now for these jobs. I saw an article of a recruiter where they were talking about tips, how to actually engage your candidates, because before you were looking for the job and you were begging for the company to hire you. But right now, 10 companies want to talk to you. If you have everything the way you want to have it, they will be talking to you, and you are the one that actually gets to choose. And instead of being the other way around, it's like, right now, this is the time. If you do everything right, this is the time for you to hold the power, and you get to choose where you want to be. So I think that's kind of why I wanted to share this talk with you guys, also because it's getting towards the end of the year, which means a lot of things happen very soon. That's another reason. And the other one is because with inflation right now, as horrible as it sounds, it has actually worked very good on our benefit now, because the jobs are paying a lot more now. A lot of the same jobs that I was looking back in August, right now they're paying like 10 to 20 more K now, because they can't fill on those positions, So I think like this is the perfect time to get a job. The other thing is that with the pandemic forcing a lot of companies on going remote, everybody went remote, and now you're no longer forced to work for a local company that doesn't want to pay you much, because you can actually go and work for any company anywhere in the country. But it has 2 sides to the coin, because one is like, you can get a better job working for a higher paying company from another state, but you're also competing with a lot more people. So that's why I feel like you need, if you really want to change to a remote job, which I think is like most of everybody's dream. I love it anyway. Like, I've been working remote for the last 4 years, and I don't think I ever want to work in an office anymore. It's awesome. If you want to work on an office, go to a co-working space, but you don't have to be tied to an office, and even like for my current job, we're hiring a lot now. I quit the same day that another coworker quit, and they are saying it's hard for us to compete with those salaries out there, because a lot of the big companies, we're competing now with the big companies. So it's tough for them. So that's why you have the power now, and you should use it. So I'm gonna show you that my LinkedIn very quick, and to show you some of the things that I have and that have helped me. You're a developer, you can have whatever good picture you feel like you can have. You don't have to have your tie, and we get to dress whatever we want, so it's fine. So I didn't even take a picture with me like looking forward, but something that it has helped me a lot is highlight exactly what I'm doing. There's tons of technologies, and I remember back a few years ago, I was getting recruiters messaging me for tech that I didn't even do, and I'm like, dude, are you not looking at my resume? Are you not looking at my LinkedIn page? What's wrong with you? And a lot of these people that are trying to look, recruiters that are trying to look for candidates for other companies, they just send a bunch, hoping that somebody answers, right? But if you want to get the right jobs, you should highlight what you're expert on. So for me, I posted the technology that I've been working for on the last 4 years, which is React on Rails, and I've been getting only those type of jobs, which is awesome. I haven't really had people trying to reach out for any of the other ones. You guys can see here my all-star rating apparently. The other thing is like, you want to be mindful of like what kind of things you are liking and what kind of things you are sharing, because even if you like something, it's kind of like Facebook. If you like something, somebody else is gonna see what you like. And you have to be careful when it comes to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is, like we mentioned, is your professional profile. You can see here on the activity, people can see what kind of things I like, what kind of things I share. So you want to be mindful of what kind of content you are like leaving comments or those kind of things, and just try to put out there everything that you're proud of showing to a recruiter. What else? We talk about the experience, having a clear experience. You see, I have a lot more text here that is not on my resume. That's exactly what Ron was talking about. My education, I have posted everything that I did volunteer. You should definitely put volunteer things in there because it just show what kind of person you are. I had endorsements. You could ask your coworkers, you know, if you're trying to build up your LinkedIn presence, you could ask your coworkers to endorse you on skills that you know they're good. Recommendations you can have. You can also try by giving recommendations to your coworkers. Something that also helps a lot, especially if you connect with people that work with you, is that by looking at somebody's profile, you're gonna see everybody else that is related to that. So, for example, I was friends with somebody apparently on LinkedIn, and they just happened to see me here on this people also view on the side, and that's how they found me. So try to have the connections that are relevant to you. That's just really gonna help you to show up on the right side and people to find you with you. There's a part here, I don't remember, sorry guys, but you can Google it, but there's a part here that you can turn on that you are actively looking. It will just like kind of like put you on a different search, and that's free. And will, you know, it kind of let recruiters know that it's okay to reach out to you. If you get a job and you're tired of hearing of them, you can just turn it off.
One thing you might want to point out is don't turn public yet.
Yes. yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because those recruiters are paying extra fees, just like LinkedIn's going to offer you for fee. So like you could pay to use the book.
Yeah.
There, vice versa. They search on those keywords in the technology. So go in and tweak everything. Leave yourself private, get where you feel it safe. Into it. So then it'll show up and search it. Especially if you so like if you had it private for a while, and you turn it on, it will show up in the recruiter search it. It's quiet for a while. I have mine private.
And that's kind of what Ron mentioned. It's actually kind of the same way of like, don't apply to jobs if your resume is not ready yet, because you might lose that opportunity. You know, maybe you were great, but they just look at your resume and they didn't like it, and you won't be able to apply to that job anymore. So getting sorry guys, I just connect my left, so she's gonna die.
While she's wandering around, going back to GitHub and stuff like Joey said, I would put everything private except for certain couple projects that you know about. I myself have a couple projects out there that are public. I clean them up, update them every now and then, because I've gone to job interviews and start talking to code or whatever. When you leave that interview, you might see my code, how I code. If someone like me, maybe a hiring manager, anyone who's proud to show off the code, I'm going to choose to go look at it because I'm always looking like this. And I learned from other people's code. If any of you people, how many of you been through GitHub looking for something you're trying to fix? And you read somebody's code like, hey, that one, I was probably doing it that way. Ding, ding, ding. So, you know, if you're interviewing and you're in there, make sure you have something out there, throw the link, include the link in the cover letter, or include the link in your thank you letter, you know, get an interview, for example, things like that.
That actually has led me like next round, throwing a link of something that I'm working currently and throw them the link to both GitHub and my deploy project. So that's very true. I think we cover everything about LinkedIn. I just showed you. We talk about updating information, recommendations, headline, likes and shares, applying to jobs. Yeah. And other socials, I think one of the ones that we use the most, especially for these kind of things, and it's very big in tech, is really Twitter. Any others, whatever you use, just remember that I think like something that is like a good practice is go Google yourself and see what kind of things are appearing, and make sure like you're starting to like contact that company like, hey, get rid of these, or starting hiding your stuff. You know, like for example, for me, I have my Twitter and my Instagram are public. On my Instagram, I don't even share pictures of family or anything. It's just like concerts or outdoor things, whatever. Like something that is not gonna embarrass me. right? Because my private things are usually on Facebook and they're like super protected, like, it's only friends and family, that's it. So just keep in mind that, just Google yourself and see what kind of things you're going to find. Networking, we already talked about Meetup and Slack, and I told you guys about Women in Tech. For me, it has been a great community. If you guys are women and you're not there, please reach out to me. Right now it's by invitation only, but I was able to get actually my job there through that. This happens on almost all the other ones. We have this at South Florida Coders. There's a bunch of other groups that I belong on Slack, and almost every single one has a job board. And the good thing about that is that when they share the job, they're pretty much telling you, reach out to me if you have if you have any questions, and you get to actually reach out directly to this person. That's how cool is that? You can't do that when you apply to a company. You have nobody to reach out, right? But here I have applied to the job, and then I just told them like, hey, thank you so much for the information. I just applied, and they're answering me the same day because somebody knows that you applied. Somebody's inside looking for your application. So please do that. We talk about other ways of branding, and Derek already talked about Medium, podcast, YouTube videos. If you have some presentations and you don't recordings, you should include them on your portfolio. Just really anything that you can share that it shows that you care about sharing or with others, or like you are learning or something. Do contribution. Obviously one of the big ones that Derek says, like all is doing open source contribution. Probably the best one that you want to do. If not, just contribute on Stack Overflow. Just answer problems for somebody. We talk about who you are, just what you said about your first job. Like I mentioned, for your resume, if you don't have any experience, just try to put your projects there. If you're looking for a remote job, set yourself apart, and I think the big one for this one, that's cover letter. You have to do something very specific and try to do your best on a cover letter. I think like everybody's doing cover letters. I know I do. So what I started doing actually is I created a folder on Google Drive and save a bunch of every single one that I see. I save them and I just reuse them and tweak it. And I save that version. It's always there. So if there's another company I like, I just use that and change that in the company. Just whatever is going to make it easier for you. Research the company, like we talk about that right now is the perfect time to get the job of your dreams, and you wanna be sure where you're working. Read the reviews on Glassdoor, make sure it's a good place to be. If you're putting a job to go to another one, hopefully it's good. And I say that even to myself because of starting a new job and as scary as it is, I did a lot of research, talk to people internally just to make sure I'm making the right decision. Get accountability partners for job search. That's something that we actually used to do. Brad, my friend, is here in this talk. He lives in California, and another friend. The three of us, we actually have like commitments to study every week, and also job search, where we share a screenshot of like how many jobs we apply, what we did to learn this week, and if we didn't do anything, we pay each other $5. So just really anything that helps you to make yourself accountable. Sometimes you can't do it on your own, then grab a partner. So whatever works. Job trackers. I actually have a spreadsheet on that was given to me. It was all designed by my bootcamp. Just a little spreadsheet where you have the dates when you apply, a link, an email of somebody to reach, so you can kind of follow up. If you are constantly applying to jobs, you can see how much time passed. Okay, I'm done talking, I promise. So now it's time to hear from our members, and I'm going to start with Brian. Okay. Behind the computer.
Hi, I'm Brian LIDBERG. Thanks, ZARELA, for letting me talk about my experience on getting a job in the software industry. I actually started my first course a year and 2 days ago, so I'm actually really new. I've been working for HomeDepot for 3 months now as an Android developer. The actual name is a mobile software engineer, but I think Android developer is a little bit easier to say and people will understand it a little bit. I'm probably gonna sound like a broken record, but I really put emphasis on what Zarela and Derek were saying about using your various network, like using networking and going to use LinkedIn, GitHub, your portfolio, and other social medias to help get yourself out there. The route I took was a little bit different than most people will probably take. I didn't go to school, it was all self-taught. So there's no boot camp, anything like that. So everything I had was basically my own projects. I didn't have any tech experience before. So it was really hard to showcase and put things on my resume. Funny, actually, when I ended up talking to the recruiter, a little bit later after I ended up getting the job, he said, your resume wasn't very impressive. That's not why I hired you. But that said, I'm not going to show you my LinkedIn. Zarela's got her stuff. But basically, my LinkedIn, the most important things that I had were the header, the title. I had a self-taught Android developer and a future GDE as my title, kind of just help emphasize what I was, what I'm trying to be. And GDE is a Google developer expert. Basically, it's someone that helps with other tools like Google Code and tries to be involved in the community as well. There's a featured section, which you guys have seen. That's where I put my GitHub or my portfolio. I'm an Android developer. I'm not. What I do? Oh, there we go. I'm an Android developer. I'm not a web developer, so I didn't make my own website. I just use GitHub. But there's also a skills and endorsement page that you saw, and there's a take a skill quiz. I don't know if you guys have taken the quizzes on there, but if you score in the top X%, you get a nice LinkedIn skills assessment badge on your profile, which kind of helps reflect that you know a little bit about something, right? And then the accomplishments, making sure you're putting any kind of, like for me, I put one of my projects that I'd prefer them to see, that's got at least the most code, right? And then I did appear as a guest on a podcast, so I made sure to kind of include that in the accomplishments. Besides that, my LinkedIn was pretty small. I'm not going to go into detail about my resume. I think Zarela and Derek did a good job with that. And then my GitHub portfolio, I will show. Oh. Perfect. Oh. I'm still getting used to my Mac. The whole Control V or exactly. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So if you guys don't know, you can create a repository with your GitHub username, and it creates a README just like this, and it basically acts like your portfolio. You put your information there without just having to go directly to your project. And then if you scroll down, you can see your projects down here. But when I was talking to the recruiter, he called me. He got my number off of LinkedIn. So that was my main contact of how I got in touch with him. And my biggest, I had more interviews from people reaching out to me than I did trying to reach out to others. And that's probably because my resume wasn't impressive. And all the recruiters are sitting there trying to look for, oh, person, Android developer. Okay, let's start contacting him and someone in. But I had sent him my resume and I sent him my GitHub portfolio. And one of the biggest things was adding a little bit of personality to it. Because like on the first line, one of the first lines was self-studying my way as a developer, coming back to the States in 2 years of project. So kind of showing that, oh, I was in New Zealand for a little bit, I was in Thailand, kind of putting a little bit of detail to who I am. And he said that was really cool. And he was kind of making a couple points on that. We were actually talking about that for a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Conversation skills helped me a lot there. And then I went on and talked a little bit about what I did, kind of just what you would see on LinkedIn or your resume, just kind of emphasizing it in a different manner on my GitHub, on my portfolio, saying that I know Java, I know Kotlin, I know Android, and mentioning different communities that I'm part of, such as Twitter, Reddit, and the Kotlin Slack. Kotlin Slack is a huge one for me because it's so big. Well, besides having the hire channels, if you're looking for a job, or if you're looking to hire somebody, there's so many other people there. There's people from the Google developing team, people from JetBrains that you can get a hold of and talk to and kind of discuss certain, whether it's about applying for jobs or your code in general. But that was huge. I had several leads from Colin as well, which helped me a lot. And I had a couple mock interviews from people as well, which helped. Just some other things about making sure I put like future goals on my GitHub, on my portfolio, and contact links, whether it's through to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to and then things like Reddit and Slack as well. The ways that recruiters can contact me or people that come across my profile, my portfolio somewhere can find ways to contact me, or other or links to just other information about me. And then making sure you have a couple links to your main project, because if a recruiter does look at one or two of my projects, I want to make sure it's one of my better projects. So I don't want them wasting two clicks to see tutorial-based projects. And then a little summary about the project, just kind of cleaning it up, making sure it looks nice. And like Derek said, I should probably actually switch this over to, you can't see here, but switch it over to where I can see the private commits as well, because since I got hired in September, there's basically nothing. It's all been private. But making sure you have in your GitHub project some kind of visual aid, whether it's a little video. It's a little bit outdated now, but there's some kind of interaction going on. There's something that looks a little pretty, right? And more links to either other GitHub projects, whether it's like I've got the server on a different one, or a direct download if somebody wanted to download the APK. And then more links to, like I said, LinkedIn, Twitter, Slack. One of the things I did try as well, I did try a personal consultant. So someone that kind of does the hiring for me, right? They basically send out my resume through Glassdoor, Indeed, however they have their connections. They try to pretty up my information. But after 2 months of trying them, I canceled. I kind of just said, go away. There was no result. And a big thing there was probably just because I didn't have a big background in tech already, because they were really, all they were doing is was sending my resume, right? And what I say about my resume, it wasn't impressive. And it just, and like Zarela said, there's so many people hired, that there are so many people reaching out to me even, and with like little experience. There's just, you can tell how many jobs are there. And the interview process, it might be a little bit different than you guys are used to, especially maybe on the Android side. But mine, it wasn't all about data structures and algorithms. Actually, I didn't have a single data structures and algorithms interview, which might sound shocking. It was all code challenge based, like project based. Like they would give me an existing project and I would go in, do some refactoring, and then add a couple features, or just kind of go create mine from scratch. But that's kind of my story. But it was a lot of networking in various places, kind of figuring out, and until one person decided to contact me, and then just got the ball rolling. So that's yeah. I'll let you do this.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for me? It's okay.
Probably use it more than that.
He's going to hang out with us afterwards, so we can see.
Why did you
Right?
cover that? I know.
I didn't work on one.
Okay, Delvis, you're up. Okay, so you.
Hello, everyone. My name is DELVIS. ECHEVARRIA. Right now I'm working as software developer engineering test. I know this role is kind of confused in the QA area. you can find the same role like a software developer, engineering test, automation tester, or performance tester, or QA tester. But this is the role in FieldEdge. Right now, I'm working at FieldEdge. Also, I'm organized. I was for Tech Night. My friend here is another organizer. Also, I'm founder of Advisory. I said it before, it's a small company, consulting company providing software testing, automation testing. We have a couple of customers in Latin America, so we're working on it. More focus on structure training about performance testing, automation testing. So just a little bit about myself, my background. I have a bachelor in computer science and also a master science in software quality. It's kind of software engineering master science, but more focused on software quality and software testing. I started working, I remember I was talking with Christopher about it. I started working as developer, but 2 years later, I jumped into QA because, to me, it's more flexible. It's something that I like. Actually, I like it. So before I started with my tips, I want to say something so similar to Zarela mentioned before. It's a good time to be a QA and testing professional right now, because right now there is a lot of positions related to QA and testing. Most of them remotely. I remember 5 years ago was kind of complicated to me get a job here in the 4 miles area because the area. It's kind of complicated to get a job, even in software quality and software testing. But right now it's kind of easy. There are a lot of positions related to not only for QA, I mean only from front end, back end, a lot of positions remotely. So I think that it's a good time to get involved in the tech area. Even though jumping to remotely, because I love working remotely. My office is here in Fort Myers, but since the COVID, I'm working remotely, so I love it. Okay, so my tips, let me start. Okay, first of all, update the resume. It's so important to keep in mind the resume. I think that you have to make it easy, simple, because remember, keep in mind, the hiring managers are busy all the time. So it's so important, keep in mind that you have to make it easy and simple. So the second one is get feedback of your resume before submit it. It's so important, try to send the resume, your friend, your co-working, even your family, try to get the feedback from this person because it's so important. The next one is create a list of potential company of community. I remember that it was my first task when I came to the United States. I made my list about different companies, locally company in that moment. So it's so important. I remember my list started with the Artrex, Chicofast, FieldEdge, Coal Miner, Gardner, just looking for locally company here and the other. So it's so important to keep in mind. So right now it's different because we can access to remotely opportunities. So keep in mind, because for me, it's greater for try to working for the local company, even here in the Southwest Florida. So keep in mind. So the next one is explore different job searching websites like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, DICE. There are a lot of websites that you can access to find jobs remotely or locally. Next one, be active on LinkedIn. I think that LinkedIn is the most powerful tool to get a job. I remember I had a couple of interviews through LinkedIn. Be active in LinkedIn. Be visible. It's so important. Keep in mind that be visible in LinkedIn. For example, you can write posts, share posts, and connect with people because in LinkedIn there are a lot of tech professionals in LinkedIn. CEO, hiring manager, co-working like a developer, front-end, back-end, automation testing. So it's so important, keep in mind, be active, also visible on LinkedIn.
It's great to use major sites, but one example is, I just changed jobs, you don't find that on the site. You have to go to some still requires you to go to their site, apply to their site, stuff like that. Like FTC, I have to go there. learn the guy, and he's trying to background it into the company. Some places don't use external, and a lot of that is what comes with those.
Yeah, that's a good point because as Zarela mentioned before, there are a lot of recruiters, external recruiters, touching you all the time. So I don't know, this person to me is like, I don't believe in that. I prefer go to the company website and then apply to the website, for the company. Okay, so the next one is get involved in local technology community. This one is an example of this. Southwest Florida College spent over 4 years trying to making presentations, networking, connecting with people, engage with young people to the tech market. So it's so important, keep in mind, get involved in the local technology community. Network like a crazy and build relationships between, I don't know, maybe in the community, in different places. Another one, be prepared for the interview. This is so important because, you can be the most smart guy in Southwest Florida, but you have to keep in mind, be prepared for the interview. I remember 5 years ago when I came to United States, I remember I had the interview, was so complicated to me. My English is not my first language, so there are a couple of concepts kind of different to me. For example, I remember in that interview, someone asked me about, hey, tell me a little bit about your SQL skill. So I say, what is that? I don't know what is that. So this guy, don't call me back again. Don't call me back. So after that interview, I went to Google. I say, hey, what is SQL skill? So to me, SQL is SQL. So it's kind of different. So, it's so important, be prepared for the interview. In my case, I know it's because my English is my first language. So there are a couple of concepts complicated, to me, but you have to keep in mind that be prepared for the interview because it's so important. You have to, show the best of you in this interview. Another one, don't be too quick to say yes. You can compare the opportunity, compare all the, all the opportunity. Try to take a time to think about it and then say yes. And the last one, I think that is the most important, is try to evangelize and help others to get involved on the local tech area. I think that it's so important, especially, for example, with young people, women, minority representation in our community. So it's so important to keep in mind that. I know that Southwest Florida College is an example of this. Here we can try to help people to get involved in the tech area. So that's my tips.
I remember talking to a friend, and I had the same problem about people as well. Okay, so thank you guys for having me. First and foremost, I really appreciate it. I've been coming to the group for, I guess this is my second meet, but it's been great from day one. Like everybody, like the founders and leaders of the group have always made me feel welcoming. My wife, she comes along with me. She's not even a tech. I'm trying to sway her into, getting into it a little bit more, but of course in due time. Hopefully, if I bring her to enough of these meets, she'll, she'll get convinced. But my name is Juan RESENDIZ. I'm not gonna beat up the horse too much more because I think we've kind of nailed it on the spot. Everything I've heard here, I've heard it in multiple places. I mean, I got so many mentors that tell me this same stuff consistently, and it's something that you just gotta hammer in. Like, this is correct. KISS. One of my mentors gave me an acronym called KISS. Keep it stupid simple, right? Like, that's it. You don't have to be too extra because these hiring managers, they've seen it all, and they've seen the fancy resumes. They just want to know who you are. They want you to be direct, and they want to know that the person that they're bringing onto the team is going to fit with the actual environment. That you don't want to be in a place that you necessarily don't feel like you belong. You know what I mean? So, and that comes from multiple things: your background, where you're from, your education, like what the company represents, what it does. These are just multiple factors we got to take into consideration. So I want to kind of divert a little bit, but stay on track. So I want to talk about trying to get a job
in an unconventional way, very unconventional for unconventional candidate. But I say that because to give you a little bit of my background, I don't got a degree, you know, I don't got any, I'm self-taught 100%. And unfortunately, I got a criminal background too. You know, when I was 16, I did some stupid stuff when I was a kid. And I ended up serving some time in prison. I ended up doing almost a decade in prison. When I came out, I thought it was over. Like, I thought I was done. You know, I thought I was destined for the sun. That's it, you know, like, and I don't knock that. Like, I mean, it helped me pay my bills, it fed my family, but at the same time, I knew there was more. I knew I wanted more. And so I went and looked for it. And thankfully, I found these social media. Now, like LinkedIn and all this stuff, that's great stuff. That's tools that will help you, you know, that if you utilize it, it's there in front of you, it's free. There's like all the right people on all these platforms. So you need to dive into everything. But I really, really, really recommend when you got like a situation like mine, or like if you got no education, or you don't got no like work history, and I recommend you go directly to these managers that are really hiring and get to know them. You know, one thing I really want to emphasize is joining groups. Join multiple groups. Join every group that will let you in. You know, like, because eventually you will find a hiring manager in one of those groups that's going to give you a chance. And all you need is one yes, right? You hear that all the time, but that's so true. That once you get that one yes, you're pretty much in the industry. Your experience is going to start rolling in, and after a while, it's like everybody's going to want you. You're no longer a risk, right? It's like you're part of the. So another thing, which brings me to my next point. When you got something like that, it's better. And one of my mentors told me too, like by me going into the public domain like this and put myself out there, like you can't sit here and be like, I'm not trying to help people, right? Because like I'm changing, like I'm trying to show, and that's what we got to do. We got to show that we want to change the community. We want to contribute back, you know, like we want to push this, and like doing that will break barriers. Like right now, it's so hard for me to come up here and like talk about this because I've always been embarrassed about it. Like I'm so embarrassed about my records, you know, like I'm so embarrassed by it now. But I know, hopefully, somebody will hear me and be like, they told me I couldn't do that, but look, he's doing it, right? Like he's doing it. And so like, just reach out to somebody, you know, like that's all I did. I went on Twitter and just reached out to everybody. I reached out to the greatest over here. I reached out to the underdog devs, you know, shout out to underdog devs if I could plug them in real quick. Like there's just so many great people out there that are willing to help you. It's just you really sticking yourself out there. So I say this, like this, everything that they said tonight, like I couldn't emphasize it more. Like I couldn't put in better words. This works. This is gonna help you, but you just gotta go out there and do it, right? You just gotta show up. That's it. Show up. Put your face out there. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if they tell you no, that's fine. Nothing changed. But if they tell you that one yes, like that's what we were looking for, right? Like so, GitHub is big, right? Like if you don't got no history or like no work experience, you want to use GitHub. Like show them that you got the skill, that you can develop the skill, you can develop the talent. But at the same time, don't feel like just because you're not putting up green checks that you're not gonna get a job. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, like there are ways that you can help yourself. 100 Days of Code on Twitter. Get on there, do that. You know, and every time you tweet that out, go commit something. Just whatever you're working on, commit it. And then like that's beginning a habit. And once you begin a habit like that, then eventually it becomes normal. Once it becomes normal, it's something that you can accept. The imposter syndrome starts, well, it never really leaves, but it starts kind of waning, right? But so again, like, thank you all for having me. If anybody got any questions, of course, like I'm going to take them. But
What software do you develop?
right now we're doing a bunch of big data pipeline stuff. So right now I'm working with a bunch of Java and Scala. So yeah, right. So again, like, and that comes from like just me teaching myself. Kind of how I got my job was Slack, right? We got an underdog dev channel. If anybody's interested, just reach out to us and we can get you guys hooked up. But like just in Slack, my boss just dropped, hey, anybody want a job? And I was like, yes, right here. And so like he gave me a shot, you know, and that's all it took. He said, I was there that morning, I was on the Slack, and he posted that, and I like immediately responded, and that was it. And that same day I like got hired, you know, so it was just like I woke up thinking, let me go just practice a little bit more. And I fell asleep with a full-time job, you know, and I mean, I've been there for like 10 months, like 10 months. And like now to me, it's so normal that I feel like this is what I'm gonna be doing for like the foreseeable future, you know? So again, like, don't think that you're not getting nowhere. As long as you're implementing this stuff and you're doing it on a day-to-day, you might not see the results right now, but you better believe something's moving, you know, like things are changing. But again, it just, yeah. Sorry, I forgot what you said. But yeah. Again, I'm sorry, you guys. It's my first time doing a talk like this, so I'm a bit nervous, of course. But again, thank you all.
And by the way, I have to say, guys, I invited especially these three guys here because you three inspire me, really. Every time I talk to all of you, I have seen like, oh wow, we're doing this now, or like you know, like here I shared a little bit of your story before, and to me it's super inspiring. And you're right. I mean, really, like all it takes to break into the tech world is one tip, you know, and from there nobody's going to stop you. Your years of experience are going to roll into a lot of money eventually. and one thing that I actually love about the tech industry is that we get to choose where we want to be. You know, there's tech everywhere. Like, you know, like if you want to get a few jobs, first learn whatever you can, but you get to choose whatever industry you want to be. You know, you're passionate about education. There's tech there. You care about healthcare. There's there. You care about government. Really anything. You know, and I think it's so cool that we're like very fortunate and very blessed to be able to get to choose the jobs that we want to be. And the last thing that I wanted to say is, I think like one thing that it also helps a lot, even if you don't have like a great resume or a lot of LinkedIn and like any experience, I think something that it really shows and it takes for people to give you an opportunity is being passionate. You know, show how passionate you are about what you're doing. And I feel like everybody here, and I know this because you are here, obviously, everybody that is on software development, they are there not for the money, but because you care about learning new things. You know, you like to be challenged, you learn new things, and you keep developing your skills. And that really takes a lot of a person. If this job was easy, a lot of people would be doing it, and there are not many. And I think it takes a lot of passion about doing and trying to learn or trying to better yourself and doing all this. And I think as long as you share how passionate you are about something, they will give you an opportunity. You know, for my first job, actually, I applied to a mid-level developer role, and I didn't have any experience, you know, but I still apply, and they told me, like, you know what, we're looking for somebody that has an enterprise experience, but we're willing to open a junior role for you. And that really led me to have like now 4 years of experience, you know, and it was really because of they saw something that they like. And something that my boss always says is like, doesn't matter really your education. He actually, I mean, I'm not saying don't go to college because obviously you want to go to college if you can, but I used to preach a lot at boot camp, but not anymore because I know so many great developers that didn't even go to a boot camp, and they're much better than anyone that went to a boot camp. I think as long as you're passionate, you want to learn new things, that's all that matters. And my boss always said that you can teach anybody skills, but you also have to shine your personality on this interview. You know, they want to make sure they're going to have somebody that can get along, that wants to learn, that can get along with the rest of the team. That's really more important because anybody can learn the skills. So keep that in mind and try to shine it. And I think that's it. I think that's all we have. I talk a lot. I'm sorry, guys, but I thought it was very helpful to everybody. For the ones that are online, thank you. I hope this helps you. We're recording this. If you have any questions, please let us know. Connect through us to LinkedIn or really anywhere. Derek, thank you as well for sharing with us. And for the ones that are here, we are all hanging out. You guys know where. Everybody knows where we're going. It's 8:05, so we're going to be here maybe for another 10 minutes. If you guys want to chat a little bit here when we wrap up, but then we're going to be in downtown for Myers. And for everybody over there back home, thank you. Really, thank you for being here, and I hope this information was helpful.
Bye, guys.
Bye. I forgot. Okay. I forgot. forgot about the reference, but it's okay. I know who's been here, so I'll reach out to you guys who's doing it. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. I'm gonna hang out right now.